Hey YouTube, welcome to the Killian Family Homestead. I know I do a lot of videos on turkeys, but over the past 6 months, that has been one primary focus of ours, was to see how many turkey poults we could hatch and sell before the turkey hens stopped laying their eggs as consistently. Now, these are 5 that hatched. I had to cull out 2 that hatched with certain deformities, but overall, 5 out of 7 is pretty good, and this makes, I think, close to probably 85, something like that we've hatched out. So it's been a really productive spring, and because we started so early in the winter. But these 5 right here, we're actually going to grow out for our own meat consumption. But I'm also contemplating taking the turkey tom and also maybe actually all 3 of the hens that we have and butchering them for the freezer, because they have really started laying and laying and laying. Now, turkey eggs and chicken eggs typically remain viable only for 8 to 12 days. And some of these eggs are actually closer to 20 days old, 22, 25. And I've kept them in order. The older ones here, newer, even the newest, and these are just the past 2 days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the incubator up going backwards, go this way, cull out smaller and dirty ones, ones that I don't think will actually be viable anymore, and then get the next batch going. So good times, lots of fun, and hopefully a video coming up here shortly on how we butcher our turkeys. We'll probably go the plucking method as well as the skinning method to show both of them. Stay tuned for that. Okay, now I've picked the 24 eggs that are of the right size, the right age, the right color, and dimensions that I want to hopefully increase the probability of them not only being fertile, but also making it all the way through hatch, and then making it to this stage, and then eventually making it to adulthood so we can eat them. You'll see that here are all the nasty ones, the dirty ones. Now, a lot of you might be saying, Drew, why don't you just wash and clean these off and utilize them? If I had a bigger incubator, which hopefully someday I will, that's exactly what I would do on those that are of less quality, because you don't really know if something is viable unless you candle it after it's been in the incubator for 8 to 10 days, and then you really get to see if it's viable or not, of course. But I've got limited space. I can only jam-pack this thing full of 24. And so I have to be particular, and that's what I'm being here, picking my 24. Now, I've picked the biggest ones out of this whole clutch of eggs, so I have no idea if I'm going to be able to fit all 24. Typically, you can only fit 20 in here, so let's see what we got to do. I've washed this thoroughly. I've submerged it into bleach water, left it in there for just enough time to clean everything out and kill all the bacteria. It's now time to put the borders in. I call them borders. They're more like railings. And what you do is you stick the railing, within a certain measurement, and you put the eggs all along there, and there, and there, and there. So there'll be 4 rows of eggs in here, and this incubator will be in. You put the lid on top of it, which is right here. Keeps the temperature at a nice 99.2 degrees or so. And then I have an automatic turner that turns this thing a full rotation every 30 minutes. And it's been good so far. My main issue in not getting a better fertility rate is the fact that I have such a small incubator. I can only do so many eggs per month. And then I have a ton of eggs just sitting there waiting to be incubated, and the viability diminishes quite quickly every single day that passes. So you gotta get a bigger incubator if I'm gonna do this of any scale or value. With how fast these turkeys sell after posting them on Craigslist or advertising other means is pretty phenomenal. They sell for $8, $9, $10 a poult. So it's worth doing. It pays for our feed, and I highly recommend it to anybody that wants to. Let's talk for a moment about dirty eggs for hatching. You know, let's take a look at this one right here. Good width, good size to it. Probably could be viable. But you see how muddy it is? This was during a segment where it got really rainy. The turkeys were laying, and then the eggs kind of settled into the mud before we could get them. But anyways, so the reason why you don't wash these eggs for hatching is that when the turkeys and chickens and whatever poultry lays an egg, let me grab one of the smaller ones that wasn't dirty. There is a microscopic film across the egg, and this film aids in the air transpiration, or the air permeates the shell and helps, it helps the chick grow, the poult grow within the egg, making sure there's oxygen. You wipe away that film, the oxygen it has a difficult time getting in there and transpiring back and forth, as well as the fact that it's more susceptible to disease and other things like that. So I try not to wash my eggs when I have dirty ones like this. I hang on to them just in case I get a crazy bone in my body and go buy a bigger incubator. But this is I go through the selection process and just pick the ones I want and throw away the ones I don't. If I got a bigger incubator, I'd be keeping a lot more. How's that for a tight snug? So they say 20 eggs is what you fit in here if you're hatching turkey poults out of this thing. I've proven that you can fit 24. And these are some of my largest eggs that I have out of the whole selection. So impressed by that. Now I've just got to make sure that I fill enough water within the chamber. Only about 1/4 of an inch to maybe 1/2 an inch on one chamber on the bottom side. You fill it up with water just to get the right humidity. And then I'll put this thing back, plug it in, put it back on the auto turn cradle, and 28 days from now we will have another batch of turkey poults. And I think that at this time we're now going to just hatch them, raise them for our own meat consumption, and see how it goes from there. We might even try to sell some adolescent birds instead of selling them as baby poults. See which one makes financially more sense. Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining us today. Take care.